what I loved, really loved doing was photographing women. And that's something that I naturally kind of moved away from the weddings and decided that I wanted to really sort of focus on working with female entrepreneurs and women generally, and just celebrating women and celebrating everything about them, from their kind of from their businesses that they run to how they feel about themselves. And one of the things I really wanted to do on my journey through photography was to take it beyond photography and actually help empower these women.
Hello and welcome to Celebrating You, and I am so excited to introduce to you Sharron Goodyear. A very warm welcome to you, Sharron.
Hello, good afternoon, Maria. How are you?
I'm so excited and happy that we're doing this, Sharron. I would really love to know, how come you ended up being a branding specialist and a photographer and all the things that you do?
Oh gosh, well, where do I even start? I mean, I became a photographer a long time ago, probably about 13, coming up 14 years ago now, when I was actually pregnant with my first child. And I began my life as a wedding photographer. So it didn't happen straight away. I developed a bit of a passion for photography. I was living in London to begin with, and then we moved out of the city and moved down to live in Tunbridge Wells. And while I was there, I was thinking about ideas for a business that I could have which fitted around having children, because I didn't want to be commuting whilst having small children. And it started off as a bit of a hobby, really, and then I got lots of training and passed my licentiate qualification and became a photographer. So the world of wedding photography opened up to me, and I began doing that, and then I moved from there onto doing weddings and portrait photography. And I did that for many years, and my work as a wedding photographer took me to many amazing places. In the last few years particularly, I got to fulfill my dreams of actually doing some destination weddings and pre-wedding shoots. So I did an amazing wedding in New York a few years ago, which was just incredible. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. So it felt very exciting to be flown out to New York to go and photograph a wedding with my partner, who is also a wedding photographer as well, or was. We've both kind of moved into different areas now. And so we stayed out there for 4 days. We did an amazing pre-wedding shoot around Manhattan, and then did the wedding the next day. And then we got some time to enjoy and explore New York. So I've done things like that. I've also done pre-wedding shoots in Paris, an amazing wedding at Pena Palace in Sintra in Portugal, which was just the most idyllic fairy tale wedding I've ever done. And it was in this beautiful lemon, it was like a Neapolitan palace. It was lemon and pink, and it was at sunset, and all the sky rolled in, and we had this stunning pink sky, and the clouds then rolled in. And because the palace is on top of a hill, all the clouds rolled in underneath, and it literally looked like we were in a palace floating in the sky with this amazing pink sunset. So it was an incredible experience. And from there, we, my partner and I, also photographed some incredible shoots in Iceland as well. So I've been fortunate enough to do 3 pre-wedding shoots in Iceland now, 3 years in a row. That was just extraordinary. I don't know if you've ever visited Iceland, Maria, but it's an amazing location, and you just feel so connected to the earth there. It's just such a special place. So we got some extraordinary photographs, and I was also there as a filmmaker as well. So I was making a pre-wedding film for the various people that we and clients that we work with. And the great thing about that is you get to spend 3 days with these people, literally 24 hours a day. You really get to know your clients. and you're on a big road trip all around Iceland, and it was so exciting, and it just made me think how lucky I am to have a job and a career that I'm so passionate about. So yeah, so we've got to do lots of amazing things, like say Paris and various other places. But we also, I've also spent time speaking in Las Vegas as well. So there's a big convention in Las Vegas. I also got the opportunity to be flown over to and speak at a few times. And we went, while we were there, the couple that we photographed in Iceland, Greg and Christy, who are just the most amazing couple. And they started as our clients and they left as our friends. And they had such a wonderful time in Iceland, and were so happy with the shots and stuff that they actually booked us while we were in Las Vegas to go and photograph them in Antelope Canyon as well. So that was amazing. And so, luckily it was just before they put all the, I think they put a lot of restrictions up now, because I mean, it's insanely unsafe, because I was actually photographed because I had a fashion blog at the time as well. And I was working with a brand called Pure Collection, and they sent me some clothes, and I took these, I had to wear like this shirt and this white skirt, and I actually stood, I didn't climb onto this ledge wearing the high heels, may I hasten to add, but I put these high heels on, and there's this photo of me standing in this outfit in a pair of high heels, and I'm literally about the other side of the bed in distance from this 800-foot drop to the ground. Not so good for me, because I'm not the best with heights, but we did that. So we got some amazing shots for my blog, Keeping It Fabulous blog, and then we got some amazing shots of Greg and Christy as well, literally just, and I did a video for them. So yeah, so I moved from that, and then I decided that what I really loved doing was photographing women. And that's something that I naturally kind of moved away from the weddings, and decided that I wanted to really sort of focus on working with female entrepreneurs and women generally, and just celebrating women and celebrating everything about them, from their businesses that they run to how they feel about themselves. And one of the things I really wanted to do on my journey through photography was to take it beyond photography and actually help empower these women. So I began the journey a few years back into boudoir photography, and also into personal branding photography. The boudoir photography came first. And so that was not just boudoir, but also beautiful portraits of women. So there were obviously some older women who didn't feel confident enough to do the boudoir, but and didn't feel that that was right for them, but also wanted to try out having this kind of makeover experience. So I know there's the makeovers from the 80s that were a little bit twee, but these were done as really stylish, beautiful portraits. So we had a makeup artist in, and they got some beautiful portraits. And then we also, with some of the ladies, some of the girls, we did some boudoir shoots as well. And the boudoir shoots, for anyone that's not sure what a boudoir shoot is, like a lingerie shoot. So boudoir being French, I believe, for bedroom. And but how I photograph women is how I'd like to be photographed myself, which is in a way that's not at all degrading. It's kind of got a bit of a fashion edge, and it's editorial, and with, you know, just a really the idea behind them is to make them feel empowered, for them to feel good about themselves, and to, you know, a lot of the women that come to me are going through difficult experiences in their lives. So they might have gone through a difficult divorce. They might just, you know, they might be feeling great, and they might have gone on a diet and want to feel, you know, they want to celebrate the changes to themselves, or they might they might just want something for their partner. So there's so many different reasons. But on the boudoir side of things, I guess the thing that has been really lovely is that these women who you think the people that booked in for the boudoir shoots would be the most confident women in the world, and often that's not the case. But what has been so lovely is when they've actually seen the photos of themselves, and they've seen themselves in this completely different light, and it's got this kind of timeless editorial feel to the images. They are so surprised by them, and it really, really does make them feel good about themselves. So it gives them a real confidence boost and makes them feel beautiful. And whilst I appreciate that, feeling beautiful is often an inside job, I think just having that kind of external confirmation of themselves as well is really rewarding for them.
Did you know that Brigitte Bardot, one of the most beautiful women in history, didn't think she was beautiful?
I did not know that. That's a surprise.
Yeah, she didn't. So even if somebody is perceived to be very beautiful, to feel beautiful and to feel confident and to have the photo shoot is quite some different thing. And I really love the empowerment piece there with having a good, beautiful photo of oneself. And I also really appreciate how important it is, as myself being photographed, to be made to feel beautiful as well, and to be coached and relaxed into relaxing and being myself. I think that's a really very important role that is quite unseen, but very, very important. And I know that you do that because I actually had a photo shoot with you yesterday. And this is a really important part of being a photographer. But I'd also like to ask you, with the women that you have empowered and enhanced through giving them beautiful photos of themselves that are timeless, and I really do think your photos are very fashiony as well, and I love that about them, and they have got the editorial edge. The question I have is, what have you heard from some of your clients that you have photographed about how they felt about the experience, or how that has helped them with their empowerment or their difficult divorce, for example, that they've gone through? Or in my case, I've lost weight lately as well, and I'm absolutely thrilled to bits that I look like how I've always wanted to look in my head, for example. Like, I'm ecstatic. I can't wait to put them all over the internet.
Well, I've had some amazing feedback, really. I think it's really interesting because when the women, because I do or had done, and until obviously things are changing now with this all being on lockdown, but traditionally when I've done a shoot with somebody, they've come in afterwards and they've had a viewing, and they have sat down. And what I always do, and I always say to the women that I photograph, whether it is a boudoir shoot, whether it's a beauty shoot or a personal branding shoot, is, luckily I'm somebody who's been photographed a lot myself because I had this blog. I've sort of taken myself in different avenues now, but I got very used to seeing myself, and often women aren't used to seeing themselves, and they're not used to seeing someone's interpretation of them either. They might be used to standing and doing a selfie until they get the one that they like, but often it's always been a bit hit and miss as to whether they like the photo. So I have found that, and what I always say to people is, when you look at the photos, you'll tend to find that a lot of women, not everybody, but a lot of women will be very nervous and they'll be very anxious because they'll think, oh my God, am I going to look awful? Am I going to look fat? Am I going to look horrible? Am I going to look old? Whatever it is, they'll have this inner voice that will challenge them. And it's not with everybody, but I do say to these ladies, when you look at the photos, you may well view them with a critical eye. So look at them, and then take a deep breath, have a moment, and then look at them again. But by doing that, it gives them an opportunity to see themselves, because sometimes it's, you know, it's a surprise for people to see themselves looking different. And I've had tears, you know, of happiness, not not of sadness, but I've had tears of happiness. I've had women who have been so surprised that you know, testimonials that I've had people that have said to me, you know, you've just made me feel, or the photos rather, have made me feel so good and so empowered. And whilst I'm really working on my self-healing journey at the moment and working on making myself feel good, the great thing about this photo or these photos is that when I am having that bad day, when I am doubting myself, I can take a look at this photo and go, that's you, that's who you are. And it gives them, it's just like a confirmation of who they are, as seen by me. And every woman is unique, and every woman has her own unique form of beauty, as far as I'm concerned. And my job is not so much even to photograph a woman's external beauty, because, you know, beauty is a very subjective thing, and it's different for everybody. I might look at somebody on the TV and I might say to my partner, oh my goodness, she's gorgeous. And he might say, oh, not really my type, or vice versa, you know. And so it's very subjective, but I think the key thing to remember is that we are all beautiful to somebody, whether that's our partner, whether that's our children, whether that's our parents. They get to see the beauty. So I get to know my clients, and like I say, no matter what the shoot, when I'm photographing and working with women, I like to get to know that person so I can capture their personality and capture their inner beauty as well. And just really, it's not just about beauty, it's about capturing the essence of who they are. So capturing their personality, capturing their soul, and just so that when they see themselves, it's a representation of the best version of who they are, I guess.
For people that don't know you, since I met you, I've just really enjoyed the connection and the friendship. You have so much depth, and I really think that to hold a powerful, empowering, relaxing, soft, your view as a photographer, but also as a person of another person, is soft and kind and compassionate. And I think that results in the images that you take. And it's fascinating because the way that the shutter takes a photo in that milli moment of existence has a lot to do with your intentionality in it. And the depth of being and the depth of experience that you are as a person, I really think has everything to do with the depth to which you hold a very gentle and powerful space, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really appreciate you saying that. I think when part of photographing somebody, it's not, one could argue that anybody can pick up a camera and take a photo. I mean, I just got the latest iPhone 11 Pro Max. It is incredible. Anybody can own a camera, anybody can take a photo, and I think that's the thing, is that there's a lot of people who think it's just that easy, but there's so much more to working with somebody when you're photographing them, no matter what the type of photography it is, because a lot of people feel very vulnerable in front of the camera, and they are afraid that they are going to see an image of themselves that they don't like. I mean, we've all done it. I remember getting dressed up once to go to my one and only polo match. It was the Cartier polo. It's wonderful. And I got dressed up in this lovely, very expensive outfit that I bought, and I felt lovely all day. But then I had a photo taken of myself wearing this outfit, and it was taken from a very unflattering angle on a wide angle lens. And when I looked at it, at the photo, it totally burst my bubble and made me think, oh no, I look awful. And then instead of being able to take the enjoyment of that day, I thought, oh no, I must have looked awful all day. And that's how it affected my confidence. So a photograph is a very, very powerful thing. It has the ability to make you feel fantastic and be like, wow, or it could actually really destroy your confidence as well. So there is so much in a photograph. And I think that with me, it's not just about picking up a camera and taking a snapshot of somebody. It's about building a relationship with the client so that they feel comfortable. Because when you start a shoot, there is definitely a little bit of natural kind of discomfort on the client's side, because it's a bit of an alien thing for them to do. Even when I've been photographed, and I'm somebody who's very confident in front of the camera because I'm used to being photographed, but if you get me in the wrong frame of mind, then I literally will feel a bit like, oh, I don't think this is going to be very good, and I bet I'm going to look awful. So it's very important to create this kind of feeling of relaxation and fun and build empathy with your client. And I've even done a boudoir shoot myself just to see how it feels to be on the other side of the camera. And it was really interesting because I did feel a bit vulnerable to begin with. And so that communication and that trust that you're building all the time is really important. And that reassurance that you give the person that is being photographed is so important, because what happens is we start off and it might feel a bit cold to begin with and a bit awkward, but actually then there becomes a flow and there's laughter, and then there's the magic starts to happen. And once you have that, that's when things start to go really well, and that's when I get my best work, because the minute I see someone start to visibly relax, that's when the photos really work. And I have worked with clients who, to be honest, have been nervous the whole way through. But by giving them lots of direction and by giving them lots of reassurance and praising them and saying how well they're doing and giving them good feedback, even showing on the back of the camera how great they're looking, that really starts to ease them into things and makes them feel relaxed. And a glass of Prosecco never hurt at the beginning of a shoot either. So that makes me feel good too.
Yeah, I just think that you've got this ability to well, you made me just feel really relaxed and really comfortable, because and it feels like you're holding the heart of the person, not literally, but it just feels like you're very nurturing, very gentle person, and it feels like you're very respectfully holding that person, because it is a very vulnerable situation to be in. And my experience of it yesterday is I just felt in a way that I had to perform and deliver the good poses, and that I had to work it and really, but you didn't make me feel like that. You made me feel that you just let me be myself, and it was really, really, really good. I think the power of the photographer is in how they're making their subject feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, I guess we should explain, and it goes rather seamlessly onto the fact that because we're in lockdown, when we did our photo shoot, it wasn't actually with both of us in the same room. So another new string to my bow, and one that is proving to be extremely successful, is virtual photography as well. So
wow, oh my goodness, what's that?
What's that?
I had never heard, and I've tried to explain it to two friends, and they're like, what? Can you explain?
Well, the truth is, you know all about it now, having done a shoot with me yesterday. But virtual photography is simply that. Obviously, it's a communication, and it's a shoot through using FaceTime or through Zoom, and it's a virtual shoot. So and I have to, you know, put you at ease and relax you and direct you and make sure you're standing in the right light. All of these things are very important. So having a virtual shoot is a new concept, but it's blown up massively. I mean, it's literally gone viral. There's this, you know, some amazing fashion photographers out there who are absolutely killing it with this. And there's a lot, obviously, you know, I should point out that a virtual shoot in no way replaces an in-person shoot, because the quality is perfectly good for social media. But if you want really high quality photography for your website and for your business, then you absolutely need an in-person shoot. And the whole kind of idea behind it is very different as well, because when you are having an in-person branding shoot, which is, and for those who don't know, a personal branding shoot is basically where it's a lifestyle portrait session for your business. So and it represents your brand. So if you have certain brand colors, where possible, we like to integrate those into the shoot. I create nice stock imagery as well, so it might be a nice photo of your laptop and your notebook and planner, so that you can weave that into your, perhaps your Instagram or your social media, as well as various photos of you that kind of tell the story of who you are and which you can sort of weave into your branding. So the in-person shoot is very different, because I'm the one that's doing all the moving around and getting all the angles, and as well as doing the posing and lighting and everything. And I use a combination of natural light as well as using lighting that I bring along to the shoot where necessary as well. So you in that situation are in a much more relaxed environment, because I'm the one doing all the work and you get to just sit there and look fabulous. With the virtual shoots, it's slightly different in that I'm directing you, and you have to do more of the work, getting up and down and moving around and stuff. So it is a bit more challenging, but when the person that you're photographing knows that the quality is not going to be as good, and it really depends on your camera. I mean, it can be amazing. I did a little test photo earlier with my other half, and we both have just invested in the iPhone 11 Pro Maxes, and they're extraordinary. The quality is incredible. So if you have a really good quality camera, or if the client has a really good quality camera on their phone, then that is definitely going to give much better results than if you have, say, an older phone that hasn't got as good. But even with an older phone, I mean, I think you've got an iPhone 7, haven't you? But
so I've got an iPhone 6.
Oh, is it really a 6?
I'm Stone Age with hardware. but just to explain, because it's such an incredible concept. So I, as the subject of the photo, put my camera on a stand, and I am directing you, and you through my camera, through the connection. So we're on a live call, and then you take the photo through my camera. That's how it works, just so that people can imagine how this is actually working.
Yes, that's right. And so I work with my clients to photograph them virtually, basically using the technology that I have my end and the camera their end, and then from there I work on making photos look beautiful, and then and brand them for my clients, and then they have these lovely photos that they can use for their business. So the virtual shoots have been, lots of people have been interested in them, and lots of people have wanted to book them, because we're in lockdown. People need updates on their headshots and their photography all the time. And another realm that I'm going into is looking into doing virtual boudoir shoots as well. So that's something that I'm considering doing as another string to my bow. But at the moment, I'm very much sticking to working with entrepreneurs and helping them create some lovely images for their business as kind of gap fillers before we move on to doing the proper in-person shoot. So I think in this time of lockdown, you just have to evolve in your business, and I think that's what's really important.
Yes, absolutely, and I think you're doing that really, really well. And another thing that I, for example, really benefited from, that you've been able to help me with, because I've got no idea about lighting, composition, the backgrounds. So you were able to advise me, almost give me like a Zoom consultation about the background and how lighting works in the room at different times of day. So is that something else that you can offer as a consultation? Because so many of us are working on Zoom.
Yeah.
And we don't know how long we're going to be locked down for. And even when we do start integrating, it's going to be very gradual, isn't it? So I think it's something to really get used to now, and just to get those Zoom backgrounds and the positioning really as good as it can be, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know that there's the opportunity to have virtual backgrounds, and I've seen that done. But if you are working with your own background, it's important to make sure the key things are to make sure that you are well lit and that you have a good tidy background. So I work with people prior to shoots or video calls. If we're doing a video, I have another business, Soulful Life Club, which is like a holistic and wellness website, and I do interviews with people on there. And so it's really important that when we're doing even the interview that we're doing now, that you have good lighting on you, and that there's not much clutter, and that you have everything set up as you need to. Because if you haven't got everything set up, then you're not going to have a successful shoot, and you're not going to get the best out of the situation, whether it be an interview or whether it be a shoot. So all of those things are very important. So having some kind of prep prior to the shoot is definitely part of the service, and so I can see that when we get started that we're ready to go.
And tell us quickly before we finish about Soulful Life Club. What is that, and how can people watching get involved?
So Soulful Life Club is another string to my bow. I am the co-founder along with my business partner Sammy Ben, and we basically set up this kind of holistic hub and wellness website for women, and it was for women at all points in their journey through womanhood. And one of the things that I found as a mother to 3 children, and also as a business owner, and an owner of a dog and the owner of a house and trying to make money and all of these things, that actually life is a big juggling act, and not to mention trying to incorporate exercise and self-care and get enough sleep. And it just suddenly felt like I was spinning so many plates. And I think as women, we often put pressure on ourselves to try and be super women. And I think particularly in this time of lockdown, it's given a lot of people an opportunity to reflect. And so going back to Soulful Life Club, before I come on to that, Soulful Life Club was created with the idea of trying to create a hub where women could go, so where they could learn to create more balance in their life and have a bit more of a 360-degree look at life and see how they can get balance. And it's not easy. So we have contributors from various sectors, but our 3 core areas are mind and spirit, health and wellness, soulful entrepreneurship, which is business. And we work with contributors from all of those areas. So we have holistic and wellness coaches, we have business coaches, and they're currently writing for us on the blog. There is so much going on. We're about to launch our own shop, and our mantra for our business is kindness. So it's kindness to ourselves, kindness to each other, and kindness to the planet. All of our products that we're about to launch, we've got a jewelry range, a candle range, and also a spa range of products, all vegan, friendly and ethical and sustainable products. So we just want to make sure that we're making a bit of a difference to people. And there's going to be courses on our website as well. So our contributors will start to put their courses on there, and a hub where they can find meditations. This is our vision: meditations and free content. There'll be a directory of experts. So we have big plans as well as doing events and stuff. So we have a group on Facebook, which is we have a page which is Soulful Life Club, and we have a group as well which is Soulful Life Club. And these are this is growing. I think we've got over 400 members now, which is really cool. And we are starting to restructure how we do things. So we're going to have some amazing guest speakers in the group. And we're really excited. Sammy and I are both really excited about where this journey is going to take us. And it was kind of interesting because it's really sparked a different form of creativity for me. And I recently sat down and penned some thoughts around the whole coronavirus thing, and thinking about life balance and how life has changed in so many ways. And so I put together a film, which I think you've seen, called A New World, which was done for Soulful Life Club as a kind of branding film, which is another thing that I do for my business, or for my clients' businesses as well. And yeah, so A New World film is basically a portrait of life before, during, and after the coronavirus, and what changes there might be afterwards. And it's kind of had an environmental thread really, and looking at how, whilst obviously this pandemic has been heartbreaking and it's been extremely challenging, I think it's also given us the opportunity to really kind of look at life, look at our lives, and realize that we perhaps don't need as much as we think we need, and that we are very capable of adapting. I've seen a lot of people adapt their business models because of lockdown, me included, and how it's given the environment an opportunity to take a welcome deep breath, as I say in my film. And I've been so pleased because the film has had, it's had a lot of views. I think it's had over nearly 3,000 views now in a couple of weeks, and lots of shares, nearly 100 shares. So you can find that on my Facebook page, and on the Soulful Life Club page as well. But the great thing about doing that film for Soulful Life Club is that it actually sparked another idea that I am now about to launch and start sharing with clients, which is that because it had such an incredible response and so many amazing, beautiful comments, and it seemed to resonate with so many people, I thought about the concept and the idea of creating emotive branding trailers for my clients' businesses. So, for example, if you're a parenting coach, I can work with them to help them narrate an emotive piece for their business, and then I can then mix that with music and film clips to create, that might be parenting orientated, obviously, that go with the words and fit with the words, like the New World film. And to create this beautiful sort of film short, as it were, that tells their branding story and their business story in a completely different way to how they've perhaps communicated their message before.
Yes, absolutely. It's like visual storytelling, isn't it? And it really does pack an emotional punch. And well, because we are women, we're talking about the women's group and so on. It's something we're really good at, isn't it? Being very emotional and communicating really from that depth of being, from that depth of experience, really from the heart.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, I'm always thinking of new ways that people can actually communicate their branding message. as well, because I think there's a lot of traditional ways to do it, you know, and we're doing lives and we're doing these kind of you know, people are posting videos and all these sorts of things. But I think getting getting your branding message told as a story is quite compelling, and I think it's really interesting to see the response that it's had actually. And I'm hoping that people will embrace this concept. I've already had a few people interested in having this book, so I'm just working with a few clients at the moment to start doing that. But it's a very exciting concept, and one I'm really looking forward to working with people on.
I really love that you mentioned that. So telling the brand story and branding and so on, like for people that don't understand what that actually means, it's a word that's thrown about a lot, and personal branding and business branding. So how would you describe the branding story and why it's important to be clear what the story is, what the brand values are, and perhaps what you're doing really well, which is to tell the branding story differently? How has it been told, and how is that too many questions, or something for somebody that doesn't really have that branding background or marketing background? Would you be able to explain that in a layperson's terms?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the main thing is that when it comes to personal branding, I mean, personal branding is very much about you. So if you are a business owner or an entrepreneur, and it's your own business, you are at the heart of that business. So when I do training on this, you know, I have this training on my website on sharrongoodyear.com, which I can include a link to. It's called the 7 Golden Rules for Personal Branding Success, and it talks through the different types of branding. So if you think about a brand such as Coca-Cola, there's really no person that sits behind that. Coca-Cola itself is a brand. So is Nike, or Nike, whatever you want to call it, and Pepsi. And so these are brands that funnily enough are synonymous with their, you know, with their emblem or their logo or their brand. When you think of that, when you think of Coca-Cola, you think of the red and the squirrely writing, don't you? But if you think about people who have built a business, and a hugely successful business, around their own personal brand, where they have actually been at the center of the brand, you probably think of people like Richard Branson, Michelle Obama, perhaps, certainly Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres. And, you know, these are billionaires or millionaires who are hugely successful. There's also Elon Musk, but they have built, Elon Musk, for anyone who doesn't know who Elon Musk is the guy who built the Tesla brand, so the electric car. He's a billionaire. But all of these people are very much at the forefront of their business, so they have their own personal brand. And when you strip it back, I mean, those are people obviously at the celebrity end of the scale, people who are very well known. But when it comes to us as entrepreneurs, we are very much the face of our business. And so it's very important when you're the face of your business, that you show authenticity, and that everything that radiates from you reflects your brand and your brand values. So who you are behind closed doors is who you should reflect when you're also, you know, outside of and you know, talking about your business and your values and stuff. It should be fully part of who you are. And so your brand is not just about your business and what services you provide. It's about what people think when you're not in the room. So who is Sharron Goodyear? What does she do? What is she about? and the same with you, and you know what you're doing and what you're building with your business. So that's what it's about, and the key thing is that getting your message right is so important. So not only do I photograph people and help them with their branding message through film and portraying it through the visual side of things, I also help people write content, and I also coach people on helping them with their brand as well. So if you have a lady who's got, or a man who's got a new business and they're starting out, I offer website critiques to people. So I look at their websites, and if they haven't got a website built, I can advise. But I get them to think about, you know, their branding colors. I get them to think about the look and feel of their brand, as well as the visual side of things, how they want to be seen online, what message they want to be putting out there, who their ideal client is, who their target market's going to be. So I create a strategy for them that will help them, because it's all very well me taking photos and going, here you go, here's your photos. But if the photos are going onto a website that doesn't look that great, or their overall branding isn't sharp, it's still not going to send out the right message. So I take it beyond just photography and position myself as more of a personal branding expert, where I will educate, help, and coach people in those areas. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really, it's extraordinary how much is under your umbrella, how much you actually do. And I love the way you've wrapped it up really well. You've done my job for me, so thank you for that. You've wrapped it up well. It's not just about the photos, it's the all of it. It's how the whole presentation is working as a collection, and so that it all looks just how you want it to look, and just so it's in alignment with who you are, what you believe, and what you are saying in the world. And I'm really pleased, because it wraps up really well with the message that I'm doing, which is people don't buy what you sell or what service you give, they buy you.
Absolutely.
People buy you, they don't buy what you do. They can, there's loads of other branding people out there. There's loads of people that sell candles, for example, for the sake of argument. And there's lots of people that do podcasts and interviews as well. But what we're really selling, what I'm selling is me. What you're selling is you. So the side of the branding that I'm interested in, which goes cup and saucer with yours, is the let me meet you authentically as you are, because that's the unique human proposition, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think that's the very important thing to remember, is that people buy from people they know, like, and trust. So if you are authentic, and that's what I was saying about having authenticity running throughout your business and throughout who you are, because people can tell straight away when someone's not being genuine and not being authentic, and that can create distrust. And it's very important. I've heard this analogy, I've used it myself, that, you know, when you're trying to create a relationship with a client, you know, even if it's just in a short space of time, you're trying to create that human connection, that unique, you know, we say, what's your unique human point? So what makes you unique, and how are people going to embrace that? So I think it's really important that you get that across. And the analogy I was coming to, which is, if you're in a bar and a guy walked up to you, and you know, perhaps you were single and ready to mingle or not, but say you're in a bar and you had an opportunity to chat to somebody, and you were getting on really well, but it was literally like your first date, and then suddenly on the first date he dropped one knee and said, will you marry me? You'd be like, whoa, stop the bus. Unless it was Chris Hemsworth, of course, and then I'd be totally on board. but Chris, if you're listening, I doubt he is. But you wouldn't, because it would be off-putting. The whole idea of a relationship, particularly any kind of relationship, is a courtship. So you, first of all, you decide whether you like each other, whether you're a good fit for each other, and then from there you meet up, you build that relationship, you build that trust, and that will either go one of two ways. If the chemistry is right, then it will flourish into a relationship, and then whether that be a business relationship or a real relationship, and then eventually it will lead to the commitment. And I think that's important to remember, that I think the way people are doing business is very much changing. This kind of hard sell approach is really becoming very unattractive to people, and I think that more organic, holistic approach, and as we say in Soulful Life Club, soulful entrepreneurship, that kind of business with soul. So you're actually coming from who you are and talking about what you do, but without it feeling over pushy, over salesy. And I think that's really, really important, to get that timing right and to get that relationship right. And that's all part of the education that I also do with my clients, if they need
Lovely. Well, you're certainly very soulful, dear Sharron. And I just really love that point about lockdown. It's business, and the world has obviously completely changed now. Things will never be the same. And I absolutely agree with you. I think what I'm terribly sorry about the tragedies that have happened and that are happening health-wise and so on. However, for the business world, I'm of course very, very sorry that some businesses are so challenged and struggling. However, I think the opportunity to do things differently, to be more sincere, more genuine, more real than ever before, because in a way it's interesting that there are less resources, there's less money, there's less work about. And so the consumer has got to choose much more wisely as to the things that they buy, the things that they consume. And we as consumers and B2Bs are going to make those decisions based on the relationships. It's absolutely a relationship of courtship. And I think you're doing a brilliant job. The synthesis of Soulful Life Club is beautiful. It's everything that I believe in. I just really think this is the way forward. And just tell us, to round up, what your URLs or links, or how we can find you as well for all of your different projects.
Okay, well, my three, so I probably have 3 websites that I can share. So there's my personal branding photography website, which is Sharron Goodyear. That's Sharron with 2 R's, Goodyear.com. And then there's Soulful Life Club. Like I say, there's the Facebook group, and I can include a link, but it's soulfullifeclub.com is the website. And if anybody is interested in the boudoir side of things, or the portraits, the beauty portraits, then that is Fabulous by SharronGoodyear.com. So those are my 3 links. I seem to have so many websites. I've kept adding. I have my wedding one as well, but I don't do weddings anymore. But that's goodyearphotography.co.uk for anyone who wants to have a peek. I have many.
Oh, also, I love that you collect websites. Do you still have the fashion blog one available? Because I'm so curious to see that.
I haven't done anything on that for a year, but that is Keeping It Fabulous.com.
Wow.
As well.
You are Miss Fabulous. If I'm Miss Rainbow, you are absolutely fabulous in the best possible way. Sharron Goodyear, it has been a pleasure to get to know you and what you do more deeply, and I really find it inspiring. I know that this will inspire so many. So thank you so much for your time today and patience.
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute joy to talk to you. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.